You're listening to the Savoir Faire audio experience.
Are you ready?
The Savoir Faire experience is your guide to everything that has to do with lifestyle. From dating, rides, style, and entertainment. All brought to you by the editor of Savoir Faire magazine, Robert White. Anything goes on this audio experience. So, let's go.
It's still the best.
All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Savoir Faire audio experience. Thank you guys for following, sharing, all the love. Definitely appreciate all the attention. Another great interview coming to you today. And again, another musical artist, because I love talking with musical artists. So today we are chilling and talking to a band member of the band, The Boy Detective. Today we're talking with Benny Capaul. What's up, Benny?
Oh, not too much. What's going on with you?
Another exciting Monday, man. I appreciate you finding some time to chat with us and talk a little bit about music and some of the cool things you guys have going on over there with the band. I'm super excited. Someone sent me the PR brief, basically, and I got to listen to Beth Truss, and I loved the sound of this song. And it was literally this song that was like, yep, let's set it up. I want to talk to these people. Such a cool vibe and such a cool sound, but I do want to dive into a little bit about you, and then we'll go into the band and all that stuff. So talk to me a little bit about your background. Like, when did music become part of your life, like your earliest memories? And then what was the phase that led you into getting involved with the band?
So that's a very long story. So I'll try to do a synopsis. I'll try to give you I'll try to give you the old Spark Notes, right? The old I don't even know if they exist anymore with everything with AI, but so basically, yeah. So my name's Benny Capaul. I'm born and raised in a small town in Ida, Michigan. I'm the son of a funeral director, grandson of a funeral director, and great-grandson of a funeral director, and now I'm a funeral director. So I'm a fourth-gen funeral director here in the small town. So I've literally been surrounded by death and grief my entire life. I have a wonderful family, very supportive family, but just because I've seen so many grievers in my life and so many decedents, just because of the way that I live, the best representation of like the closest thing is like if you mixed 6 Feet Under with My Girl. That would be like my life.
Okay.
If you've ever watched that movie and that TV series on HBO, like it actually there's a lot of like similarities. But yeah, honestly, it's been really interesting. But what happened was, and we all of us in the music profession, a lot of us have that older brother or older sister that would sneak us CDs, because I came from a very Catholic household, Christian, so they weren't very, very into parental albums. If you get my drift. Yep. So what my brother would do is he'd get all these albums and then he would burn them, or he'd put them on a tape cassette, if you guys remember recording stuff on tape, and he would label it something different, like Beach Boys or something, but really it would be like one of the Joker's cards from ICP, or it would be Enema of the State, or Hooray for Boobies from Bloodhound Gang, and all that kind of stuff. So I remember like my brother is very like all over the map. So like he would give us one week Get a Grip from Aerosmith, and then the next week we'd get, like I said, one of the Joker's cards from ICP. And then the next week it would be Enema of the State or Dookie. You know what I mean? It was all over the place. So I remember, so what we did was we couldn't listen to them in front of mom, right? So we had to have like the Walkman. So I remember like pretending to go to sleep. And I have an identical twin, so we shared a room. And so like him and I would like switch CDs, like whatever Chris would give us, and we would listen to him on our Walkman. And I remember like falling asleep to like Limp Bizkit, or you know what I mean? And I just remember like punk really stood out to me. There was a couple bands that really stood out to me that kind of defined what I really wanted to do. I was in Catholic schools all my life, and I never really felt like I fit in. So there was a teenage angst that a lot of us in the parochial schools felt. And the one thing that I noticed that really I felt at home was when I would go to a local punk show. And just you'd be surrounded by individuals that think differently, are kind of against the man, you know, surprise, surprise, and all that kind of jazz. And so I really felt like they were the ones. And then I also really loved theater. Like I love this idea that for an hour or so, you could be somebody different. You don't have to be this person that's dealing with all these responsibilities and struggles. And I feel like whether you're in a band or you're a fan going to a show, you can let all your worries go for 3 to 4 hours, you know what I mean? And enjoy a punk show, you know, and especially if you're one of those ones that get up in the front and you're in it and you're getting sweat on, or me as a musician, like me sweating on them, because one of the big things that I fell in love with, one of the big bands that defined me, and I'll talk about a couple more, is the Suicide Machines. I remember Destruction by Definition and Battle Hymns. My brothers, that was 2 of the albums my brother would give us. And I remember just like playing those albums through and through. And I'm like, whatever this is, I love this. You know what I mean? I didn't really necessarily know the like upbeats and all that jazz and the ska, you know, at the time, or this, whatever this genre. I just thought he was just they were just another punk band, like No Effects. You know, No Effects, surprise, they had a lot of like ska-ish songs in their repertoire. So I remember that was another one. No Effects would be another big one that kind of was handed down to Nick and I specifically. But my brother would always give us like the middle albums. So like as I got older, I had to like go back. So like the first Blink album I got was Enema of the State. So like going back and realizing that Dude Ranch exists, like what did I miss? You know, like, this is crazy. You know, like Green Day. Luckily we got Dookie. So I mean, it's not necessarily the first, but you know what I mean. The first that really kind of defines it. But like I didn't know Operation Ivy existed until later on. So I knew Rancid. You know what I mean? Like so. And then Rancid, it was Out Came the Wolf. So all this, that was another big album that defined this whole ska punk thing that I find myself into now. But I just remember, like, specifically going back to the Suicide Machines, one of the biggest things, my brother would go to all these, like, shows because he was older than us. So he would go to, like, a lot of the underground Detroit Suicide Machine shows. And so one of the big things he would always tell me when he came home was, like, man, that Jay is so wild. He's, like, in the crowd. He's choking people with his his mic cable. He's jumping. He's barely on stage, blah, blah, blah. And I said that I always felt something about that, right? So, like, specifically, all of my brothers, my other brothers are in another punk band called Dads on Couches. So we're still all writing music. We've wrote music and we'll get into that. But I just was always this theater, like, I want people to feel like they're not only there to see my band, but they're there to be a part of the show, right? Because, like, why are you paying all this money? Why are you going out and getting babysitters? Because most of my fans now are parents, you know, so they got to get babysitters. And so if they're going to come out and see The Boy Detective or any of my bands, like, I'm going to give them 110%. And most of the time, specifically in The Boy Detective, I'm out in the crowd. I am maybe 20% on stage, if that.
Nice.
Because my idea is like, I want everybody to feel like they're part of the show. And you know, you go to so many shows and there's like the 3 different like fans. There's the ones that want to just be right up in your face. There's the fans that want to kind of like be in the background. You know, like I'm just here to listen. I don't want to get pushed. I don't want to get stomped on. I don't want to get scissor kicked or whatever is going on in that pit. And then you got like the ones that are in the middle, like they want to go have some fun in the pit, but then they want to sneak back and just enjoy the show. So like I wanted all 3 of those parts to be like, feel like they're part of the show. So what I'll do is I'll start in the pit and then all of a sudden I'll disappear and I'll end up singing behind a couple that are just there to watch the show. And then it takes them about 2 minutes to realize that the lead singer is literally behind them screaming.
Yeah, that's so cool, man.
And so they turn around and they're like, wait, like, is this part of the show? Like, what are we supposed to, like, it's kind of like the Peter Griffin thing. Like, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to draw this? Am I supposed to be a part of this? Am I not supposed to do this? You know, like, or like Ricky Bobby, like, what am I supposed to do with my hands here? Like, I love it because I love it. I love the awkwardness because it is literally part of like what we do. But yeah, so my brother would come home and tell me about all these like performers, and he at that time, which you don't see as much anymore, which is kind of sad, is all the basement shows, the underground basement shows, and like we had pole barn shows because I'm in literally a farm town. And I love that. I love that musicians didn't have a stage most of the time. You know what I mean? They're on the same floor you are. And, you know, you're jumping so you could see, like, the players. Like, I always love that idea. And then, like, you leave and you look up at the rafters and they're literally sweating from all the people that were in there. Like, I just love that experience.
Yeah, and, where did you get your singing from? I mean, you're the lead singer of the band, so like, were you just kind of singing along with all this music that your brother was kind of sneaking into the family, basically? I mean, how did you get that singing perspective and want to be center point on stage?
So what happened with that was, my older brother was a sophomore in high school, and he was really into drums. That my older brother that gave us all these CDs. He was into drums, and he was in a punk band. Didn't really go far, but it was called 1 Inch Brigade. It was awesome. I mean, for me as a kid, like listening to them singing songs, and like it was a very Screeching Weasel-esque band. And so they would start setting up shows around, and I was like, man, I want to do this. So me and my twin started a band called AOMS. That was the first band we ever started. An old Milwaukee shuffle. Don't know why. I have no explanation for the name other than that just came to our brains. And my brother at that time was leaving the band. The band was like breaking up, and he was like, "Well, I still want to play drums, but I really want to do like a Misfits, a horror punk band." And all of us, that was another big band, Misfits. Chris had the box set, like the one that came in like the coffin. It was super sick, and had like all of their old recordings. So even the shittier. Sorry if I'm not supposed to curse. I apologize if I am.
You're good.
Okay. Okay. So I had like even the worst recordings of like Where Eagles Dare, like the first one Danzig would do. So I started learning how to sing based off Danzig. So I kind of learned how to like, you can look this up if anybody wants to do the deep dive, but our first band was called Spaghetti Zombies, which later ran into Capaul, but it was the three brothers, and we had a friend that was part of Spaghetti Zombies, but it was the three brothers. And so growing up in a funeral home, right, of course, we're going to sing about caskets and ghouls and zombies and cemeteries and all that kind of stuff. But we kind of started like a local Misfits type band, all of our own original stuff. I mean, we played a bunch of Misfit covers, but so I learned how to sing based off Danzig first. And then I eventually kind of came into my own style through like mixing. Because one of the things I wanted outside of Danzig was Danzig doesn't really do like the gruff screaming. Like he does like Elvis style screaming. If that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So I was like more of the hardcore. So I started learning from my other band member, Nick, who is now my guitarist, and we've been in bands now forever. But I started becoming friends with him and doing a side project with him called The Cardinals. And he was showing me all the hardcore bands. So, like, I always found that, like, I came from the old school punk, like Misfits and Ramones and Sex Pistols and The Clash. That was kind of like where I stemmed my punk origins from, where he came more from the Black Flags and the old Descendants and the hardcore punk scene that kind of got delved in, and Op Ivy and all that. So like he would start showing me these things. So like, oh, I didn't realize, like I didn't start with Milo Goes to College. Like I started with Cool to Be You for Descendants. Or like I was saying, like I didn't start with the original Rancid album. I started with Out Came the Wolf. So like he was starting to show me this, like, oh, you didn't know that like Chris Carrabba was in this band before Dashboard. Like, oh, no way. Like this all makes sense. Like now I feel stupid. Like this really makes sense. Like where he's coming from. Or like, finding out that, cause I really love None More Black, but I didn't realize they were in Kid Dynamite. So then I had to go back and like, oh my gosh, it's like, wow, I guess I never really know this, but I've always been a big sucker for like the problem that I have with some hardcore bands. I still need that infectious chorus, or I still need that infectious breakdown. Mm-hmm. So like Lifetime would be a perfect example of what I want. I still want like the hardcore feel, but I want those like bigger choruses and really catchy interludes or breakdowns. And so like he was trying to get me more into that, but then there was like some stuff I wasn't into. So I was mixing now because Nick, who's my guitarist, who I'm talking about right now, he's a little older, but he's the same age as Chris. So I kind of look at them as like my two older brothers that given me like the treasure chest of music. Because like I said, Chris, my brother, is very eclectic. So like he goes in stages. So right now he's like really big into Mr. Bungle and all that kind of stuff. So like he's trying to get me into Typo Negative and Mr. Bungle. And I'm like, okay, this is a little too much for me. A little too much. But yeah, so I started off Danzig, then I really liked Blink-182, obviously Mark and Tom, you throw a little of those vocals in, and then you really go into I always loved Davey Havok, right? I mean, who doesn't? So trying to get some old AFI into that, which I wish I had his high voice, man, if I did. Whew. But yeah, so I added all of these different personas, but then I would say about 5 years ago, right before, maybe even 5 to 10 years ago, I really found my stride. I was in a couple bands at the time. I was in Come On and then Capaul, which is the brother band that you can find on all streaming platforms. So that's my brother's band that we are still in, but it's like a hiatus. We'll never really stop. But right now it's in a very deep sleep.
Understandable. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, you can check out where I came from before the Boy Detective. And then so while I was doing that band, I was also doing Come On with Nick Good, and that was just a hardcore pop punk band. And then we were like, hey, we should start. So this starts the Boy Detective. I'm sorry if I'm not going in the questions you want. Stop me at any time.
No, you're good. Okay, so that's going to be my question. How did the Boy Detective all come together? Talk to me a little bit about the members, and then we'll dive into this new track that you have out.
Absolutely. So this is perfect segue. So Nick and I were in a band. Nick Good is the guitarist and the only OG member other than me of the Boy Detective. So basically what we were doing was we were in a band called Come On. Come On was dying at the time. We knew it wasn't going to keep going. But we had 5 tracks that we still wanted to release. So we got together with as many members as we could, and we at least got the 5 tracks out because we wanted to have something from that band. So we put those out, and then him and I had a chat, and we're like, we don't really want to stop, but we were both newly married, and we were having our first 2 kids. It was really weird. Him and I were kind of going through the same life stages at the same time. We both got married at a year apart. Then he had his first kid, and then a year later I had my first, and a year later he had a second, and a year later I had my second. So we were kind of literally becoming newly husbands and dads at the same time. So we were trying to have a way to still write music, but we knew we couldn't play out at that time. We were too busy with our jobs and our lives. Like I said, I'm a funeral director outside of this. I'm also, married, and I have 2 children. So I wanted to have enough time to spend with them, but we still want to record. So we started The Boy Detective as a recording project. And I think originally the original name pushed was Broadsided, and then eventually moved into The Boy Detective. So we got together and we started writing some stuff. I'm going to be honest with you, Nick has and will always be the backbone of all music that we write. He will write the skeletons to 99% of the songs. And then we basically take it, run with it. So basically he gives us this skeleton of a song, and then all of my amazing musician bandmates take it and run with it. But he gives you okay, here's the main riff and chorus, and then, okay, go for it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So basically we started that way. So Nick was writing most of the stuff. When we first started, I was bassist and singing, and Nick was guitar, drums, vocals, songwriter. And then we got together at my house, and we put together Dorcas Malorcas. And if you look in our discography, that is the first album we had. Technically, it says that it came out in 2019, but really we wrote it in 2017. We wrote it with real drums at the time, and just the recording place and the recording mics and stuff, it just didn't sound like we wanted it to. So we put Mede drums in so Dorcas does not have an actual drummer on it. It has pre-programmed drums and pre-programmed horns in Dorcas. So that was kind of the first idea. So we got that together. We were really excited about it. Nick and I decided we wanted to call the band The Boy Detective, which is based off, we're both avid readers. And one of the big books that we both fell in love with was called The Boy Detective Fails, the book by Joe Mano from Chicago. Really amazing book. Yep. It's basically the Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew put together, but if it was in today's time with 2 kids solving adult problems, and the town just expects them to solve rapes and murders, and like they're kids. You know what I mean? But they're the best. They're the best detectives. So it's comical. It plays on that, but there's a lot of like adult scenarios in it. But it's really neat because he would put like even like there's a decoder ring or decoder in it. So there's like secret things you can find in the book. It's just a really wild book, and it's awesome. It's called The Boy Detective Tales. If you haven't, if you want to be a sponsor of The Boy Detective, we'd love it because we love your book or vice versa. So just let us know. Anyway,
we'll see if we can make that shout out now. I'll have to send that.
There you go.
Now I have to send the episode to the author. Yeah.
There you go. Sorry, I did that. So anyways, but that's where everything kind of came up. So we released Orcus Malorcus. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Go ahead.
All right, sorry. So we released Orcus Malorcus, and then we realized, like, man, these songs are actually pretty good. Like, this kind of stinks that we can't play them. And at that point, now, like, the kids were getting older where we could be out of the house. You know what I mean? Our wives could handle the two. And so we were like, maybe we should try to see if we can get at least a drummer. Like, if we can get a drummer, we can make this work. So we put out our feelers, and there was a guitarist in a local band. There was a guitarist that was after trying to get in a band, but he wanted to play drums. Like, he always wanted to play drums, but he never had the opportunity. Everybody just wanted him to play guitar because that's what he knew. So we called him up. We asked him if he wanted to be part of the show or part of the band. He's like, yeah, let me try out. So he came out, and it actually worked out pretty good. So his name is Brett, and he is now in a band called Candor. He's sadly not with us anymore, life things and all that jazz, but he started the actual full band with us. And so we started playing, and we realized that one of our favorite songs on that Dorcas album was I used to oh man, now I'm going to say it wrong. I used to think you were cute. I think it was Nick likes to have very, very long titles. So when we talk about Beth Truss, it's actually one of the easiest titles other than Replacements we've ever had, because he likes to kind of do the old like Fall Out Boy thing where it's like the song title is longer than the actual lyric page.
Yep.
So anyway, so we were like, man, it'd be really cool if we had horns. Like, maybe we could even just get one horn. We could do like a ska-punk band. So that was kind of the origins of like going from a pop punk band with little hardcore breakdowns to maybe we should try ska. So we actually went on Craigslist back then. This would have been like 2018, 2019. Mm-hmm. And we put our feelings for a horn player, and actually we got a response from a horn player, and luckily enough, his best friend also wanted to be in a band, and he played horn. So this was a trombone player and a sax player that were best friends and always were trying to be in a ska punk band, but they could never find a band. Like no one, like there was never a band that wanted them. So like we were like, yeah, like 2 for 1. Are you kidding me? Yeah, come on out. We'll try it out. And they've been in the band ever since. So that's how we got Jaredon and Seth. That's our trombone player and our original sax player.
Solid.
And they've been with us ever since. So we got the drummer, we got the horns. We started writing at that time. We mostly had it because they were coming in and really getting their feet wet after most of the songs from Band from the Bathtub were created. So that was our next album, was Band from the Bathtub. We basically had them, on the first original release of Band from the Bathtub, it is still programmed horns because they weren't ready yet at the time. Mm-hmm. But the drums were real, and that was Brett. So that was like our first real ska punk album to the community. And what we found was, man, they really, really like the ska punk. Like, we would play these shows, and people would come to us and be like, yeah, like, this is really, really good. And like, nobody's playing this kind of style around here. And you guys got to get up to Detroit. And we're like, yeah, because we were playing a lot of like Ann Arbor, Ypsilanti, and Toledo at the time. And so we were like, okay. So we would start playing shows, and more people would come. And then we ended up playing a ska show in Detroit, and that kind of blew everything out of the water. Like all these like older, more wiser ska, you know, musicians that have been playing forever. Like that's when we kind of came across like Jay and the Traders. So like Jay Navarro was watching our shows. Like, it was kind of wild. And like Eric Abbey, who's been in a ton of ska-punk bands, and all these musicians that were in like Killer Diller and stuff that were also in like old, what were they? The Scholars was one of the old like ska bands from Detroit. Like, they were in it, and like, we're writing all these songs. And one of the big things that the Boy Detective has always done is Nick and I wanted people, when they hear our music, to remember being in the same time when you were hearing all these amazing bands from the late 90s and early 2000s, like those kind of punk bands that were coming out. And so what we do is we nod a ton to all those bands, including we did a nod to the Scholars. So I remember one of the first shows when we found out that the trombone player that's in Killer Diller or in Jay and the Traders was the same trombone player that was in the Scholars. So he's like, man, what if he doesn't like this nod, or what if he thinks we're copying? And I'm like, Nick, I don't think he's going to even remember that line. And so we talked to him after the show, and we're like, hey, we're sorry if we, he was like, no, I didn't even realize you guys did that. But no, I think that's really rad, that you guys like kind of nodded to an old band from Detroit from like on Misfits of Ska, released by like Asian Man Records and all that kind of stuff back in the day.
Yeah, that's super cool. I mean, the the band is awesome. I mean, having a larger band is really cool. The ska-punk band stuff is like excellent. When I was listening to Beth Truss before you and I connected, which is your new single that you guys just released, like when I was listening to that song, I was loving the vibe. Like, even the video is kind of cool to see some of the energy and how you guys kind of play out and stuff. But like the idea of this sound is so unique and kind of cool. I mean, I've always had a thing for punk music in general, but to have this kind of like, to put the horns in there, it just makes the sound a little bit more unique and kind of cool. So I definitely understand the kind of the aspects of why people love the sound and stuff. And it's really cool that you guys, as musicians, respect so many artists that came before you and give those little nods to those people that you guys respect too in that genre, which is super unique. You know, as far as being like a live performance and a live band. I do want to dive into this song. I want to make sure we can plug this out really good. Talk to me a little bit about Beth Truss, this new single that you guys have. Just, do you got to remember being in the room and how this song came to and how it was written and like where the idea came from?
Absolutely. So I'm just going to do a quick nod here. So since then, we've gained some members and we've lost some members. So I just want to give them accreditation real quick. So like Zach is our new drummer. He's absolutely wonderful. Ricky is our bassist. He is absolutely incredible. We still have Jared and Seth. We gained a trumpet player named Emily from my local town. So that's been really, really neat. And obviously Nick still is in the band. So how Beth Truss came, I just wanted to give that quick thing.
Yeah. No
how Beth Truss, and we're on Punkerton Records, so I want to give Punkerton and Brandon, I'm sure you would have gave me time, but just in case, I just never want to forget. But basically how Beth Truss was, Beth Truss is actually an older song that Nick wrote in the Cardinals, and it was just a punk song back then. And then when I joined with Nick back in Come On in the end of Cardinals, we would play that song out. And the sad part at the time was, it was such a good song, but we didn't have the clout or the you know, like, we didn't have Spotify and all that really back then. Mm-hmm. We didn't have a way to get these songs out to really be heard. So it was kind of like this, in our opinion, this trophy is just like collecting dust that really deserves to be out there for the fans. So I remember, like, literally since the Boy Detective at the start, I wanted to always do this song. I wanted to bring this back out from the vault, make it our own, add the ska kind of feel to it, and make it our own, and then re-release it. And then Nick would be like, nah, I'm not that person anymore. You know, I was like 18 when I wrote that, and I don't know if I could relive that, like, experience and make it real. I'm like, Nick, I think you can. So after years of bugging him, so we're talking now at that point, like 5 to 7 years of bugging him to do this song, he finally was like, okay, I'm gonna play around with it and see what happens. And sure enough, 24 hours later, he sent the band like, this is my thought. And I'm like, I told you. He was like, there was part of me that it came out and I was like, I don't even want to show them because I don't want to admit that Ben was right, that this song is worth what it. So literally, like, within like the first time we practiced it again, like we're like, holy, this this is going to be the song. And then we came close to recording, because we ended up recording with Roger Lima from Less Than Jake out in Gainesville. He did the producing and the recording, and then we had Eric Taft do the mixing and mastering. But like when we were getting there, I'm like, Nick, I think this is going to be the single. I think this is going to be the main single. He's like, I hate to admit it, but I think you're right. It's nice. It's nice to get you're right every once in a while, because Nick and I have been making music for a very, very long time, and I'm the kind of person that gives you 100 ideas in one day. Mm-hmm. And maybe one of those is good, but the problem is the 99 oversaturate the one good idea.
Yep.
So that was one that worked. I'll take the win for it. So yes, I remember. I don't remember Nick writing it, because I wasn't even with Nick when he originally wrote it.
Got it.
But I do remember the first times him playing it and just looking at like him telling this, because Nick's stories are always partially real and partially a little bit fictional. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of truth behind it, but then obviously he exaggerates some of the places or things. But I just remember, like, even the first time I played that song, that like drop out of and you're 1,000 miles away, like, man, like, because the big thing that I've noticed with the ska community, specifically because we have Michigan ska, and man, they are diehard support. Like, they will fight for you. They're the ones that are doing all the work for us, to be completely frank with you. But yeah, it's absolutely wonderful. But they like to sing with us. They like to be a part of it, and we are very in on giving them a lot of gang vocals so they can sing with us. They can be a part of it. Like, man, it's so nice as a lead singer when you don't have to sing half your songs.
Oh yeah, I bet.
And you could just give a mic to somebody and they know your words. So like, this is one of those songs where you can't not sing it. Like, once you hear it three or four times, like, you're gonna be like, oh, okay, yeah, I get what they're doing here. Like,
no, it definitely has that, man. It's like I listened to it 3 or 4 times in a row, just to kind of grasp the lyrics and just kind of be a part of it really quick, because I wanted to make sure we could talk about it. It's a banger, man. It's like it's an earworm type of song. Like, once you listen to it, it's just stuck. So I mean, I think that's really cool, and it gives a lot of credit to kind of dusting off old material and bringing it back to life, and then having it be part of the band. And I do think it's an excellent single. Like, people definitely need to check it out. I want to do a little shout out here for you guys, and let people know where they can go find you really quick. So if you go on YouTube, you can just look up The Boy Detective and you'll come across Punkerton Records, and you can see the music video for everything there. But you can also look up The Boy Detective on Facebook and on Instagram. Give them a follow. They have a link tree with a lot more information on it. You can get access to that on Facebook or Instagram. But make sure you guys are going out and checking out the music. This song is called Beth Truss, and it really is an earwormy type of song. So those of you that appreciate my recommendations, you'll definitely love this jam. But Ben, I really appreciate you, man. Like, I know there's so much more to talk about, but unfortunately, like, time comes to an end eventually, as you know, funeral director joke. So anyways, it's just really cool to kind of hear your perspective on music and what you guys are doing over there. And I definitely wish you all the best with this band. It looks like some things are really kind of coming together. So that's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I really appreciate you giving me the time to chat your ear off, because I think you talked maybe 2 seconds on this, and I just kept
That's
going.
all good, man. It's like giving somebody the mic and just letting them take off, Like, we were just talking about that. So that's perfect for me. But yeah, it was really nice meeting you, Ben. Thanks so much for your time today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the show. Please take a minute to head over to www.savfair.com and subscribe to our publication.